Hey, and welcome to some yoga with Janelle. So great to have you with me. We'll see if we can actually make a video tonight. So woohoo! Thanks for trying it out, or as always, I post them afterwards to make everything work peachy. So let's get set up. I've got my mat out. Let's start to, if you need to grab your mat or grab a couple of props. Tonight we're doing Yin Yang. And so I've got a nice cup of coffee here. We're ready to go to connect and relax, restore, take a little bit of movement. We'll start to stretch things out, warm up the body, and then we'll slow things down and get a little bit more restorative, a little bit more of that yin to our yang style practice. So so thank you so much for joining me in here this evening and for making some time to practice yoga even though the studios are closed, so you're finding a way to make it work at home. I think that deserves some huge kudos. I think that's really cool that it's not just people like me, like teachers who are taking their practices home, but we are able to equip and help support everyone to maybe finding some yoga. So whether this is your first yoga class or if you've got a strong practice, we'll try to make things work for both sides of the spectrum. That's kind of my jam, what I'm trying to do on a day-to-day basis. So let's start in by, we'll start in a seated position this evening. So if you can't sit down on the ground, that's okay. We can work with that if you want to. Sometimes even just grabbing a block. Sometimes it's as simple as making the hips go up a little bit higher. So that'll help open up that pelvis area, that low back, into the hips a little bit more. If you've never tried sitting on a block, oh, I so recommend it. I've got super duper externally rotated hips, so sitting on a block actually feels more like a restriction for me than anything, but it does help in a number of ways. So make sure you have a block maybe handy or just around in general in case we'll need it for from other poses. Or you can even start sitting in a chair. We're going to do some stuff with like legs extended long. So even if it's the crisscross part that doesn't work for you, you can start by sitting in this nice staff position or hugging one knee in, however that works. So steal that little sip of coffee, still nice and hot. So that's a nice treat. All right, so let's just dive on in and get started here. I love to start by taking some time to just connect in with the body, with the breath, maybe even with the mind if you're daring enough. I say that because it takes courage to scan into the mind and actually be real with ourselves for how we're feeling. Maybe you had a stressful day. I went grocery shopping today. It's different. It's different than what it would have been a couple of months ago. And so who knows what is going on in your world, but can you start to become aware of the impacts that your day-to-day life or the physical or the emotional side of things actually has on your body? Like, how are you feeling? How are you coming onto your mat and starting this practice often? So starting in a seated position, either the nice crisscross or extended out, anything where you can feel the sits bones starting to plant and root down. So whether you need to pull some of the flesh away, you can feel that extra rooting down, give yourself a nice little wiggle. Roll the shoulders back and down. Let's start to create a little bit of space, a little bit of openness. Maybe you have that slight tuck to the chin so that the spine can be nice and long. See if you can lengthen through that crown of the head and finding that bit of length. And if you're comfortable closing the eyes, then let the eyes just gently close as you maybe just take a nice deep breath. So inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, side out. Take one more of those. Notice how the inhale, shoulders rise, body, heart lifts. And exhale, side out. You start to relax and release. So you can take as many of those as you need to start off, to start to feel settled. And when you're ready, let's start to see, how does the body feel? How does the neck feel? How does the head feel? Do you have any areas of tension or what's feeling really tight, or what starts to feel open, what's feeling really good. And how do those shoulder blades feel? How are the arms doing? Working all the way down the back, your spine. Does even sitting up nice and tall, is that already starting to hurt? Or can you find some length into that? Maybe your postural muscles, your back muscles, and maybe even your core muscles are really weak. And so even just simply sitting with shoulders over hips is a bit of a challenge. So you either need to lean forward or back a little. Use those hands to anchor in if that's the case. That really helped me when I was developing some of those muscles. And then maybe go a little deeper. How are you feeling in this moment? What is your chaos out of 10 level in your mind, around you even? It's without having the studio to physically go to, and as you develop your own home practice, sometimes just setting the space can be the biggest challenge because there's still distractions that exist, and that's okay. They are totally allowed to be here. Your dog can come and walk on the screen, and the phone can ring. All of these things just seem to happen in life, and part of our yoga practice is being able to cope and deal with that. My very first yoga teacher would tell me about her trip to India, and they were just like practicing in this like cement field, and there was construction happening all around her, and it was really part of the practice to zone in and be present on the mat in that moment. And so we're often just so lucky, or it's quite a luxury to have the privacy that we do get at a studio, or the quietness that we do get at a studio. So taking a couple more big breaths here, I'll promise I'll get us moving here. But I think it is important to notice the mind, especially when we get into more of the restorative version of it, because then at the end of it, we can either compare or we can work with it. All right, let's take one more of those nice big breaths. Inhale. Exhale, sigh it out. Nice and big. All right. If you'd like to set an intention for your class or for your time on your mat, go ahead and do so now. What has brought you to your mat? And what is your purpose over the next little bit of time that we have together? And what's going to keep you going, or what's your goal? If you need to repeat it to yourself again, a third or a fourth time to really anchor it in, and go ahead and do so. All right, let's connect in with some movement as well now. So when you're ready, take a nice big inhale breath. And on that inhale, start to sweep the arms up, reaching up nice and tall. Use that exhale to draw the hands down towards the center. Let's inhale, sweep the arms up, reach up, feel that lift. Exhale, hands through heart center. And take a moment here to press into the hands. And so I like to do this because A, it engages through the arms. B, you start to roll shoulders back and down. And then C, with this bit of engagement through the arms, that's when we can engage through Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, which are the fancy yoga words that I know for your pelvic floor and your belly button. So zipping those up, so creating that upward, kind of pulling everything up like you just jumped into an icy cold lake, that, but then remembering to breathe and lowering those shoulders back down, but keeping the belly button coming in towards the spine. And that pelvic floor nice and engaged. Relax those shoulders. Remember to breathe. Let's inhale, sweep those arms up one more time. Reach up, hands to heart center. And then bring one arm up overhead. And then start to come into a nice side bend. So whether you just simply want to bring your hand onto the ground, maybe you walk it a little bit farther, tenting through the fingers. Maybe then you start to open up through that shoulder. Maybe you reach the arm a little more. Maybe you start to journey down onto forearm. Wherever you'd like to go. So the goal isn't to crumple into these ribs here. Keep trying to find length through the spine. And then imagine rolling over a ball and getting that nice stretch. through that top arm, through the rib cage, and all the way down. If that knee starts to pop up, you're going a little bit too deep. So anchor that foot down, that leg down, that sits bones down, and maybe bring the hand a little bit closer towards the body. You can relax the hand overhead or reach it down. The spine of holding it up is a little bit too strong on that arm or on that shoulder. All right, let's take one more nice big breath here. Inhale and exhale. Reach it on up and over towards the other side. So I'm starting to ground in. Find that openness through the top shoulder, and then lengthen through the crown of the head, not scooshing into those ribs. Yes, scooshing, the official term for that, the Gentle Yoga term for that, not crumpling into them. Find that length. Maybe you go a little deeper, maybe you reach a little farther, or you can even just relax through that elbow, but just keep trying to bring the elbow more, feeling into that. See if you can relax through the hips and the legs, and still keeping them engaged and pressing down. All right, let's inhale, come on up, and start center. All right, let's switch the feet. So if you're sitting cross-legged, we're just switching the opposite foot on top or in front, getting into that nice non-dominant side. Always fun to play around with that. If you're sitting with your legs extended, you don't gotta switch the feet. So there you go, little bonus. All right, let's inhale, sweep those arms up. Reach up nice and tall and tip over towards one side. So forcing that openness through the shoulders. You can drop that hand down if you'd like, or keep the hand up, extending out, using a little bit more core, some more obliques to balance and steady yourself, finding that stability. All right, let's inhale, bring the body up and over towards the other side. Taking nice breaths. Remember to breathe as we're moving through. Roll those shoulders down. Find a little more length. Come on back up. Hands to heart center. Release down. Inhale, sweep up. Look up. Nice little back bend. Exhale, hands to heart. Tuck the chin. All right, roll those shoulders a couple of times. Maybe you're rolling them backwards, maybe forwards. Stop, go the other direction. And then making sure we're all going back now. Finding that openness, rolling through those shoulders. All right, let's come into our staff pose. So extending the legs nice and long. So if you're sitting on a chair, this is where you'll either need a bolster for your feet to get nice and comfy, or an ottoman or a table or something like that to rest the feet on, or come on down towards the ground if you're able to. Maybe bring the couch cushion along with you to keep that nice cushy support. All right, roll those shoulders back and down, trying to get the shoulders over the hips. And so engage through the core, press into those sits bones, sit up nice and tall. Then I'm gonna just slide back just to make sure everyone can see my feet here, because I wanna bring some awareness to the feet. So as you're sitting up nice and tall, try to bring the toes up towards the ceiling and bringing them equal distance away from the body. And so they're not bending in one direction or the other. You're not pigeon-toeing, nice and neutral through the feet. And then gently just start to rock the feet open and close. And so the goal isn't to have this be an ankle or even a knee exercise, and start to get that happening right in at the hip. So curling in, feel that squeeze of the hip flexors going inwards. You can feel that femoral head, that femur bone connecting in into the pelvis, into that hip socket, and then opening it up. You got that external rotation, internal. All right, let's add some more onto this. And so every time you go out, bring the feet a little bit wider. Still trying to sit up nice and tall. If you need to bring your hands back behind you, that's always an option. Ooh, and if you have a super sticky mat, which thank you to my sister, by the way, for the Christmas gift of a nice new mat, it might be a little harder to get a little bit wider. All right, so when you feel like you're at your max, let's come to 5 more of these nice little rotations. 1 more, and then start to bring the feet and coming back towards center. So if you're able to, release the hands up off the ground. Maybe you just rest them on your lap or alongside the body. You can even press in to find that extra bit of length. Bring the feet back. All right, so that was our twisty staff pose with our feet. Let's come back to neutral. You can bend and shake through the legs to release if you need. Okay, sitting up nice and tall. Flexing into those toes, bring those toes towards the body, press out through the heels, and then relax the legs, making sure you're not hyperextending into those knees. Let's sit nice and tall, roll shoulders back and down. And reach your hand for the opposite knee. So we're gonna come into a twist here, but keep an eye on the feet. So as we start to twist, it's very common to push one foot forward, starting at the hip actually is where that motion comes into. And so you kind of get this nice bent kind of foot thing happening. And can you really square those hips so that the twist isn't happening from the waist or from the hips, but it's happening through the spine. So keeping the feet equal distance. You can even have the feet come to touch if you need that awareness of toes touching together to keep that. Inhale, press in, get nice and tall. The hand can come behind the back like a second spine. And then you can exhale, pressing into the floor, into the knee, to twist a little deeper. So my hand isn't right on my kneecap, it's a little bit higher up. So I'm not telling you to press into your kneecap, although if that's where your hand lands and you find that comfortable, by all means, maybe look over that shoulder. Inhale, see if you can find some more length, really press up. Feel the length through the spine, through that crown of the head. Then use that exhale, that to maybe twist a little more. Checking in with those feet. And exhale, release. Let's come back towards neutral. Maybe you roll the shoulders a couple of times. Maybe you shake through the legs. And let's twist towards the other side. So first, setting the back nice and straight, bringing awareness towards the feet. Maybe bringing the toes to touch, big toes to touch. Then bringing hand towards opposite knee or just opposite side of the body. You can bring this hand around, press in, inhale, let's get nice and tall. Use that inhale to find the length. And then exhale, start to twist. Doing that as many times as you need for that inhale to get taller. Exhale to twist deeper and checking in with those toes. And maybe looking over that back shoulder. One more nice big breath. Inhale. Engage through that core. Exhale, maybe twist a little more. Excellent. All right, let's untwist this. You can take another little shake to release. And then let's get ready to come into an all fours position or a tabletop position. So we're gonna stack hands and shoulders, knees and hips. Making sure the fingers are nice and wide, having that nice stabilizing motion through the hands. All right, let's take a nice inhale breath. Breathing in, start to look up, drop the belly down. Really feel that back bend and see if you can lift the tailbone a little bit higher, having that really big tip through the pelvis. Feeling that bend all the way through the spine, pressing into those hands, activating through the arms and through the shoulders. Look up nice and tall. Exhale, start to round and tucking the chin under, rounding through the spine. Nice big twist. Really exaggerate this here. Not twist, sorry. Nice big stretch through the spine. Bringing the chin in as tight as possible. Pressing into those hands to activate into those shoulders. Really feeling this. Keep holding this nice and long. Connect with that breath. See if you can just take a little inhale and a big exhale. All right, drop belly down, start to come up. And now you can move at your own pace. And so however you want to move through this nice cat-cow breath, have at her by all means, starting to become aware of the body. As you drop down, you might become aware of that front body. And pressing into those shoulders. All right, let's come to a nice neutral position here. So nice and strong through the hands. I like to start with my right foot just simply so that you guys can see the best. So I'm gonna send a right foot back, but I'm touching the foot down onto the mat and I'm pressing into it. You can rock back and forth to get a bit of a calf stretch if you want. Sometimes that feels so good. It's just like pedaling out your feet in downward dog, but you're on all fours. All right, let's find that nice stability here. Excellent. Feel that stretch. All right, and then start to bring the leg towards the right. So I'm bringing it to that nice 3 o'clock position. If you have your left leg out and extended, you're bringing it to that 9 o'clock position. So just out to its respective side. And then start to press into those hands as you're coming up. So pressing into that foot, into the knee. If you need to roll your mat or grab a pillow, I'm just going to turn at an angle so you guys can see what we're working on here. And so one leg nice and extended, foot planting down in towards the floor. And then find the length. So engage through that core, slight tuck, engaging, pressing that low back out, nice, tall, strong. Through the spine, roll those shoulders back and down. Excellent. So I'm pressing really quite hard into my right foot. And I'm feeling that activation through my inner thigh. It's zipping all the way up, nice and strong through all of my bandhas. Engaged there. And then I'm trying to soften and relax through the shoulders. Bring your hands onto the hips, really squeeze those elbows back behind you, almost making them invisible, lift through the heart. And keep that slight tuck of the chin, so it's really just a lifting up of the heart motion. Take a big breath in and let it out. Soften. All right, let's inhale, sweep those arms up. You can interlace them if you want. I like that nice connection point. I'm not getting a lot of human contact right now, so I can at least applaud or touch with myself. All right, let's bend over towards that extended leg. Nice little side bend, feeling that stretch through the outer line of the body. Inhale, come on up, over towards the other side. Feel where you're stabilizing from. And are you using your core, your back muscles, your legs, trying to engage at all? Inhale up. Let's really bring the arms out to a T. One more time of those. So dropping one hand down, maybe planting it on the leg, lifting that arm up a little bit higher. Exhale. Come back to your T and come the other way. Bring that hand all the way down towards the ground and lift the hand up. So if you can't quite reach the ground, by all means, grab a block, a book, a chair, a stool, anything that you got. If you can't, come all the way down. If you can and you're looking for some more, maybe you want to get into the hips a little bit more this evening. That's always a fan favorite. Then you can start to float that right leg or that extended leg up. Flex through the foot. Now I'm feeling this tons actually through my standing leg hip. That's where I'm feeling it more, but you might feel it through this top hip. And as you squeeze it up, all right, lower back down, press into that bottom hand, reach on up, hands to heart, and start to bring yourself back down, coming into that all fours position, so planted hands, and then bring the knee back in. All right, let's get ready to come in towards the other side here. So I'll just spin around, nice and strong through that. Now this time my left leg goes out. And finding that length, starting to engage through the foot here already. And then walking the hands closer towards, bringing shoulders over hips as I come up. Maybe I'll just come like this. Yeah. Excellent. Maybe hands are on the hips. Roll those shoulders back and down and try to really squeeze the elbows back behind you. Inhale, lift through the heart. Nice big breath. Exhale, release. Relax through the arms. Inhale, sweep them up. Maybe you come to steeple. Maybe you interlace at fingers and flip the wrists. Whatever you'd love to do here. Nice and strong through the legs. Keep pressing into that extended leg. Everything is zipped up, and then come into that nice side bend. Connecting with that breath. Find that little bit of length. Inhale up. Exhale over towards the other side. Where are you stabilizing from? Use that core. Maybe even squeezing into the glutes. Come on, back up. Release the hands out to a T and coming into that one more time here. And so dropping hand down, maybe planting it on the leg. Maybe you reach up nice and tall. Then exhale. Over towards the other side, planting that hand down, reaching top arm up. Nice full breath. All right, if you want more here, that's when you can start to float that left leg up or that extended leg, flexing through the foot, and keep reaching. Maybe the foot comes up a little more. Extend long through the spine. Nice long line. All right, start to plant it back down. Float yourself back up. Bring the hands, start center. And then lower down on to that all fours position. Bring the knee back in. You can take a little sway from side to side, pushing one hip out and then the other. You can even look back for the toes if you want it to be a bigger motion. All right, coming to neutral here, so making sure the hips are over the knees. We're gonna melt the heart down as we come into our puppy pose. And so start to reach the hands forward, bowing down, keeping the hips over the knee. Maybe you can drop the head all the way down to the mat. If not, just keep pressing into those hands. Roll those shoulders back and down. We're trying to stay active through the arms here. If you're able to get that head down, that's wonderful, but not ultimately the goal. Or if you can get that head down and that feels easy for you, then you can start to look up, get the chin down. Nice stretch through the back, through the spine. Let's hold for 3 full breaths, maybe 3 to 5, depending on your rate of breathing. Take a nice inhale and let it out. One more nice big breath. Then release. Pressing into those hands and start to bring them back up underneath the shoulders or maybe out slightly. And then let's bring the shoulders over the hands. So now I'm reaching forward. I'm now in my nice low plank position. So just taking a moment here to engage through the core. You can adjust the hands if you need to walk the hands out a little bit farther, maybe coming down a little bit lower. And then with control, let the elbows graze the ribs as you lower all the way down on towards the mat, making your way onto your front body. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. Excellent. So hands are underneath the shoulders and feel that pelvis pressing in towards the floor. And so if that low back is tight, try bringing the legs a little bit wider. Or if you want, you can try this, bringing the feet closer together. Whatever works best for your back here. And then use an exhale, start to slowly press into the hands. We're coming up maybe an inch or two, so we're not really lengthening into this, but we're just keeping the shoulders at a nice hover, rolling them back and down, feeling that nice little back bend. All right, let's start to add on to this here, starting to strengthen into the posture. On your next exhale, start to float feet up ever so slightly. Excellent. Use the inhale to maybe float the hands up. Keeping them nice and close towards the shoulders will be the easiest variation of this. And if you want more, you can start to reach them out like a T, or more still, start to reach your hands forward and coming more into that airplane or that Superman. So wherever you want to be, we're still going to hold here. So use that inhale, lift up a little higher. Exhale, hold, nice and strong. Inhale, maybe you lift the feet a little higher. Nice hold on that exhale. Inhale, front body comes up more. Keep pressing into that pelvis. Engage the belly button towards the spine. Press, press, press. Feel that back bend. And exhale, release. Bring the head all the way down. Maybe you come down to your favorite cheek. Maybe you stack palms to rest the forehead. Whatever you would like in this posture. But see if you can soften. Take that nice exhale. See if you can release that low back. Awesome moment for a little coffee break. All right, if you need to release more from the low back, bend through the knees and windshield wiper the feet from side to side. All right. Let's release the feet down. Bring those hands back under the shoulder. Then start to press up. Coming through tabletop. Tuck the toes under. Here's our downward dog for the night. So however you want to take it. Maybe you want to pedal out the feet. Getting more into those calves. Extending long through the arms. Nice full breath. Drop the head. Give it a nice little shake no here. See if you're holding tension in the neck. All right, let's look forward. Maybe you want to take a bunch of little steps, tiptoeing towards the front of the mat, making your way into a forward fold. Use that exhale to release any tension. Maybe bring a gentle bend to the knees to release more into that low back. Connect in with the breath here. Let's inhale, come halfway up. Roll the shoulders back and down, extend long through that crown of the head. Taking a moment here from that downward dog and that forward fold to making sure we're not getting dizzy at all. That's really the point of the half lift, and to find length through the spine so we come up nice and safe. Let's bring a gentle bend to the knees, sink the hips down. If you extend the arms, you're in a nice chair pose. Ooh, snuck one in. I'm just kidding, I always do. Let's press up to standing, reach up. Hands to heart. On that nice exhale breath. All right, quick little flow, and then we will move into our restorative practice. So for our little standing sequence tonight, let's start by stepping right foot back, coming into a nice high lunge. And so roll left hip back, right hip forward. Take a moment to set into the feet. So get it so that you can bend through that front knee and finding the depth that you want to. Extending long through that back leg. Excellent. Inhale, sweep the arms up, reach up. Engage through the core, don't let the ribs pop out. Feeling that quad stretch. If you want more, you can sink a little deeper. Take a nice inhale, reach up, maybe you look up, pressing firm into the feet. Exhale, start to bow down. So bringing the face over the foot, reach the hands back. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, bow it down, reach the hands back. Inhale up. And exhale, bow. Find that length and hold. All right, release the hands down. Maybe you frame the foot, drop that back knee down, and coming into a nice little low lunge. And so for more challenge, draw more distance between the heel and the knee. Maybe you just hang out here framing the foot. Your hands can even be up top here or even pressing into the knee, wherever you'd like to be. So with my shoulders higher up or over my hips, I'm getting way more of a quad stretch here. I'm sending the hips forward. I feel like I have more control over it. But if you want to get more into the hip, that's where framing the foot or bringing both hands to the inside of the foot and coming into that lizard pose. You can walk the foot out slowly to make room for the shoulders. We'll get more into that left hip. And if you want, you can let the knee fall open, coming into the side edge of the foot. So if your hands are planting down here, take a moment, roll the shoulders away from the ears, and extend long through that crown of the head. Nice full breath. And can you sink a little deeper? And can you soften? All right, let's start to come back towards that low lunge. Maybe bring the knee in. If you went down onto forearms, come back onto hands, frame that foot, and tuck the back toes under, and then start to lift that back leg, making your way back into a nice high lunge. Roll shoulders back and down. So I'm still leaning forward. I'm going to drop that back foot down, spin the toes towards the long edge of the mat, and then I'm going to start to spin my front toes towards the long edge of the mat. And come into a nice wide-legged forward fold. Getting a nice stretch through the back line of the body. You can bring the hands onto the low back if you want to interlace them and start to float them up. Getting more into the shoulders. You can sway from side to side. Release the head, give it a nice shake. No, make sure you've got really wild hair for when we come up. All right, let's release those hands down. Maybe grabbing for opposite ankles or even at the knees or for the great toe. Use whatever you can and just anchor in. And so send the sit bones up a little higher. Use that exhale to pull into the arms. Excellent. Let's release the hands down. Let's come up halfway. Extending long through the crown of the head, maybe pressing into the legs, bend the knees gently, coming up safely, and all the way up. Let's point left toes towards the front edge of the mat. Now we're set up for a little bit of a warrior two. So reach the arms out, bend through the knee. Let's come into that nice warrior two. Nice full breath. Getting the hair out of my mouth from all that little wild craziness. All right, let's come into our extended side angle. So dropping knee down towards elbow, reach the hand up. Maybe you sink a little deeper. Maybe the hand goes overhead. See how that makes a nice, beautiful angle, right from the fingertips all the way down from the foot. That's our extended side angle. See, arm extended, side angle, yeah. Yoga, there you go, yoga day, that makes sense. Fantastic. If you want more, you can drop the hand down. I like to add the resistance into my knee by pressing the arm into it. Arm can go up, or you can bring both arms up, reaching forward if you want all the core, but we'll keep this nice and gentle. All right, let's float back up to our warrior two, then step towards the front of the mat. Inhale, reach up. You can take a back bend if you want, push the hips forward, either simply look up or start to reach back. Bring the hands to heart center, standing back up. All right, let's come into the other side and step that left foot back, coming into that nice high lunge. Roll right hip back, left hip forward. And taking a moment to adjust the feet here. Find the strength, find the depth you want to go into. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, start to bow it down, reach the fingertips towards the back. Inhale, sweep on up. Sink into that hip, roll right hip back. Exhale, bow forward. Reach back, roll shoulders back. Inhale, sweep on up. Pressing firm into those feet. Let the feet be what rise you up. Exhale, bow it down, reach back. Nice and strong here. Beautiful. All right, let's start to release the hands. And either framing that foot or resting the arms on the knee. Drop the back knee down, coming into that low lunge. Adjust the feet or the distance between them. And either hanging out in your low lunge, bringing the shoulders over the hip. Keep rolling right hip back, left hip forward. Getting into that quad, however you'd like to. Maybe you pulse it a little bit, coming back and forth. Just be careful of that back knee. Or if you want, you can bring both hands to the inside of that foot. Maybe you give that foot a nice little wiggle out. Planting the hands down. Find length through the crown of the head. If you want more, you can start to drop the knee open. Or even coming down onto forearms. And checking in, how are you doing? How are you feeling? What was your intention for your class? If you're looking for the challenge, use that nice big exhale. Maybe you adjust just a millimeter. Maybe it's not even visible. One more nice full breath here. All right, start to draw that knee in or coming back up onto your hands. If you're down on forearms, and start to wiggle that foot back towards center and tuck the back toes under. And then press into the feet nice and strong, coming in to that high lunge legs. Body is still down. Drop that back heel down and start to swing the body around, coming into that wide-legged forward fold. I'm just going to spin around because I'm not comfortable with that. So there we go. So your nice wide-legged forward fold. Let the head hang heavy. I'm just enjoying some time being upside down here. We don't often get it as adults, but it's so good for the brain. We have blood rushing towards the brain, doing all sorts of good things. Maybe you want to walk the hands back behind you. Maybe you walk the hands forward. All right, let's start to journey our way back up. So let's come up halfway, plant the hands either above or below the knee. Bring your gentle bend into the leg, sink those hips slightly, and press all the way up to standing. All right, spin those right toes towards the front edge of the mat, coming into that nice warrior two. So bring a bend to that front knee, reach the arms out. Nice big full breath. And then coming into that extended side angle. So planting the elbow on that knee, reaching that arm overhead. Or reaching that hand down. You can still reach the arm overhead, even if you're reaching that right arm down. Press firm into the feet. Don't be loose through the legs here. Nice and strong. All right, let's float back up to our warrior two. You can straighten through the leg and then make your way towards the top of the mat. Maybe with one big step or a couple of little steps. Finding your way into your mountain pose. Let's inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Extend nice and long. Feel the length through the body. And then hanging out here. So starting to become aware of the feet. Where is the weight in your feet? Are you pressing it all into your heels? Is it all in your toes? Can you start to balance the weight between the two? And so if you need to come up a little bit higher, that's always an option for this. I'm wanting just to play around with a little bit of balance, but we have the body weight tipping forward, so just playing around with that. And so I'm going to press firm into my left foot and see if I can maybe come up onto my right toe. Maybe I bring knee to knee, coming into your little flamingo pose. Maybe your hands are at heart center. Maybe you need to reach them down towards the floor or a block for that stabilizing, or maybe you can stay floating in the air. Arms adjusting as they need to. Beautiful. And start to bring that right foot back down, touch it down. How does left leg feel versus right leg? All right, let's come into the other side. Press extra into that right foot. Say, brain, we're coming into balance. You need to be alert and active. And start to bend through that right knee or that left knee. Coming up onto maybe your left toe. And then maybe floating that foot up, coming knee to knee. Extending long through that crown of the head. Still try to find length through the spine. Not rounding into this. Maybe your arms come out. Maybe you can tip more forward. Grounding it down. Or staying floating in the air. All right, drop that foot back down and forward fold. Excellent. Let's inhale, halfway lift, exhale. Bend the knees so you can plant the hands into the mat, step back. Here's our last downward dog, getting ready to transition into more of a restorative or yin side of our practice. So, finishing off your downward dog, drop the knees down, and make your way into a nice seated position. Extend the legs out long and nice and wide. All right, we're gonna come into our half butterfly to start with. We're gonna do a half butterfly forward fold. And so I like to bring my legs really nice and wide for this, but if you'd rather have your legs more in that staff pose, we're just bending a leg, planting the foot in. And so whether your leg is here or whether you have more of that wide angle, totally your choice, whatever you feel your body needs. Like I said, I've got those externally rotated hips, so this feels way more normal than the leg out front. All right, so feeling into those sits bones. Roll shoulders back and down, strong through the extended leg and through the bent knee. So see if you can really press into those sits bones, find that length, press into the foot, activate into the extended leg foot, toes go up towards the ceiling. Inhale, sweep those arms up. Then start to align the shoulders with the leg. So whether it's straight in front of you or out towards the side. And then exhale, start to fold forward, hinging from those hips. Maybe you just reach on For the thigh, around the knee. We're reaching for those toes. Taking some time to connect in. So not starting at your deepest here. Maybe hanging out between like 50, at most 80%. Roll those shoulders back and down. Find that length. And connecting in. And as we continue to hold this pose, that's when you can, over time, start to deepen it. And so maybe you'll start to feel the muscles, the tension start to release. We often hold the tension through layers of our muscle, and we'll start to release them from that superficial, that outer layer, just like an onion, into that inner layer. And that's why I really enjoy these yin yang classes, or those restorative versions of classes, because it helps you get into that deeper level. But it is a decent stretch, like it is an active practice still. It's not really just about laying around doing nothing. There is some intentionality and some mindfulness that comes along with it, because we don't want to overstretch anything ever. We want to be aware of the body. It gives us those warning lights for a reason. All right, so we've got about 3 more breaths here. So however you want to move in this, whether you want to drop that head down, releasing the neck, maybe you want to keep opening up through one side and the other. I like to bring a hand across the leg, helping me anchor down. And taking one more full round of breath. Take a nice big inhale. Breathe in. Fill the lungs. And exhale. Let it go side out. And then on your next exhale, start to press into the legs and float yourself back up. Sit up nice and tall and strong. Roll shoulders back and down. And then let's get ready to come into the other side. And so very slowly, letting the transition be slow, extend one leg out and bring opposite leg back in. You'll find that length. Maybe you were extending through that foot at first, getting active into the toes. Roll the shoulders back and down. Sorry, I forgot the whole sweep up. Align the shoulders with that extended leg and exhale, fold forward. It's mostly because I'm noticing that there's lag on the Facebook page, and I'm just wondering if there's anything I can do about it. See, distractions, they exist everywhere. Even for us teachers, we're not mighty gurus. No, we're just humans practicing alongside you. So extending into that, and taking your time here as we hold and as we breathe. If you naturally hyperextend your knee, you actually have to work extra hard here to stabilize into that so that you're not pressing overly that knee down into the ground. And imagine lifting the kneecap, activating into all of those tendons and muscles that surround the knee to help protect it. Noticing that softening, the deepening of the pose as you continue to hold. Maybe you want to drop the head down, relax through the neck. What feels best on your back this evening? And if the mind is really busy or if there's chaos happening around you, finding something to anchor in on is a great option to stay in with your practice, especially while we hold things a little bit longer here. I love the anchor of the breath. So just simply noticing the inhale, the exhale, maybe counting the number of inhales you take, or counting the length of the breath is a really nice one that takes a lot of focus and the entirety of your attention to do that. So as we hold for another couple of breaths here, see if you can connect in with that. All right, one more full inhale, breathe in, fill the lungs nice and deep, and exhale, release. Inhale, and on your next exhale, that's when you can start to float the body up, untwisting ever so slightly. Maybe you plant your hands behind you as you extend both legs. You can give them a nice little shake, whatever you need to do to release here. Maybe you want a windshield wiper from side to side. And then getting ready to come into some reclined position. So rolling back down onto your mat. I desperately just need to check Facebook and see what is happening here. I might have just broke everything, but we'll see how it goes here. And so laying back down onto your mat, roll those shoulders back down, plant the feet in towards the mat. Extend the arms nice and wide. And then bring the soles of the feet to touch. Let the knees fall open. Coming into a nice reclined cobbler pose. If you're on Facebook and I just so happen to go live now and not at the beginning of my class, give me 10 minutes and I'll repost this video with the entirety of the class with it, because I thought I was live from the beginning. I've been recording from the beginning, so we'll try to figure that out once I'm done my practice here. So reclining in a nice cobbler pose. Arms options here. Some people like to add the weight of the hands into the legs. If that's not your jam, you can have the arms just rest alongside the body, out to a T, up overhead, or my ever so favorite boss arms, interlacing the fingers, holding the head, and letting the elbows open up nice and wide, kind of mimicking what the legs are doing. See if you can find that softness. Roll those shoulders back and down. Connecting in with that breath. See if you could really fill the lungs to their maximum capacity, like you could not fit another sip of air into your lungs. And then using that exhale to slowly release all of the air you stored up, letting it go bit by bit. Can you feel the softening through the body? On your next big breath, on the exhale, start to notice whether you're breathing, starting the exhale from the bottom, breathing out, emptying through the top, or do you empty from the top down to the bottom? So fill those lungs as big as you can, get as much air as you can inside, and then start that exhale. Where are you breathing from? And just starting that awareness. Roll into the shoulders, extend long through that crown of the head, or just enjoy the stillness. Oftentimes we feel the need to fidget. It could be our brains just not wanting to deal with something that might be stirring up. We store emotions and memories in our cells, in our body, in our bones, in our muscles. And it's the most fascinating thing. And you will notice that you store a lot in your hips. So with this nice hip opener, you might be noticing a sensation of anger, grief, sadness. Lots of those more extreme emotions tend to hang out in our hips here. So as we release the muscles, we might be releasing into a little bit of emotion. And the question is, even if there's not a memory attached to it, And can you use that nice exhale to actually release it, let it go, let it process, and say thank you for your time. It is now time for me to move on from that emotion, finding that freedom and that release. One thing I was studying when I'm studying in my Yin practice is that sometimes we can just shift pain around in our body. And so if we're dealing with something and we're like, ooh, that's uncomfortable, and we don't process and release it completely, we can actually just move it somewhere else in the body. So trying to really let it go. I find that big audible exhale is what works best for me. But if there's something that works better for you, by all means, play around with it. Figure out how you can start to deal with that completely. All right, let's start to come out of this nice and slow, using those slow transitions to maybe start to release the arms first. Maybe with helping hands, you start to press in, bringing the knees up nice and slow. And take a little moment to hug the knees in towards the chest. Feeling that low back pressing in towards the mat. Excellent. And so what I want to work on next is just hugging one leg in nice and tight. Send the other leg, you can either plant it down in towards the mat if that low back is tight, or you can extend the leg nice and long, whatever works best for your body. But just start to relax through the shoulders. So just hold on with like just enough tension to keep that leg in place. So the upper body is still nice and soft. And then start to pull that leg in maybe a little bit more towards the body. So either holding on at the top of the knee, you can even hold on at the back of the knee. If this is all you got, you're just barely bringing it in. That is just fantastic for you as well. Like, you don't have to go super deep in all of these. So whatever your body is craving and allowing for. This is not my first yoga class of today. I've done a couple of them. And so, just working with your body and where you're at. Your yoga does not have to look like my yoga. That is never the expectation. And I actually get really encouraged when I see people with a stronger practice. I love seeing where poses go and people feeling confident enough to express themselves and where they're at. I think a lot of the times we applaud the beginner, the first person who's trying yoga out, and it's like, oh yeah, look at them, they're taking it easy. Congratulations on them, they're really listening to your body. But maybe listening to your body is going deeper. And I love to see people who take that option as well, and providing a space and the freedom for people to go as deep as they want. Like really from here, like if you're able to, like you can even loop your arm underneath the leg, you can bring foot towards forehead, you could come into reclined splits. All sorts of things come from here. I like the just gentle hug the knee in towards the chest variation. But if you want more, and if you want to play around with it, like by all means, go ahead. All right, let's start to release this leg nice and slowly, planting it down onto the mat first, and then start to hug the other knee, the right knee in towards the chest. If you want from here, you can extend the left leg if that's within your practice. Bring that attention into that right hip. Take a couple of breaths, relax through the shoulders, finding that sweet spot. Connecting in with the body. What do you need from this pose? We're going to hold here for a full 15 to 20 breaths. Really letting the body start to release, getting into that hip, dealing with those emotions, dealing with any tension that you might have, just being aware of the body. And like I said, if you wanted to go deeper in this, maybe you want to reach for the heel or for the toes, bring the knee in ever so closer. Maybe you want to reach behind and extend the leg. And this is your practice. Feel free to play around with it. I've got my nice sweet spot. And then just focusing in on the breath, filling the lungs. And can you feel the rib cage expand, breathing deep into the diaphragm, into the abdomen, into that deep belly breathing. Maybe you want to just breathe through the nose, breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the nose. Maybe you become aware of the body and you start to notice the temperature difference between that inhale breath and that exhale. All right, we've got about 2 or 3 more rounds of breath here. Filling the lungs, letting it go. If you want to deepen, even just imagining the leg coming closer towards the body, or maybe using that exhale, a little bit of space that's created to pull the leg in. It might not even be noticeable, it might just be a little millimeter or a half a millimeter. And on that next exhale breath, slowly start to relax through the arms, release the leg, send the leg nice and long, open up into your star or your little pentacle, whatever you want to call it. So legs go nice and wide, arms maybe out to a T or even overhead, whatever you would prefer. Roll shoulders back and down. And now this is the freestyle portion of the class. And so if there's another pose or movement your body is craving, and this is the time for you to play around and explore with that. Maybe you want a little bridge pose, pressing the feet in towards the mat, lifting the hips, getting one more nice back bend. If you want to twist, that's always a nice option. Maybe just want a windshield wiper the legs, maybe you want shoulder stand or plow, all delightful options for you to play around with. All right, keep that nice tuck of the chin. If you're doing something on one side, balance it out on the other side. And then start to make your way into your final pose, your final Shavasana. So whatever that looks like for you today. You could bend the knees and plant the feet if that low back is tight. Or extend nice and long. And then start to create some space. Lift through the heart, roll those shoulder blades back and down. And start to scan through the body. How are you feeling now after a little bit of movement? How does the back feel? How's the neck doing? The shoulders, the arms? How does the spine feel? How are those hips, the legs, the feet? All of it. And now that you've scanned through the physical body, of course, if you need more time, take it. Maybe getting into that emotional side of the body yet again. How do you feel after a little bit of movement? Do you feel a little bit more calm? Are you able to bring that with you? As we continue to take a couple of more deep breaths, I just invite you to try to harness the stillness and the softness that we've created in this practice. Let it be there for you in times of stress in the future. May you remember some deep breathing, and may you remember that everything at some point is going to be okay. All right, I'm going to slowly roll up to seated. You can take as much time as you need in your final Shavasana. If you need to lay there and simply meditate, and take all the time that you require. I thank you so much for joining me in this practice this evening. It is always an honor to be able to share. Sorry for the Facebook people where I forgot to hit the go live button, even though I hit the stream button. Learning. I'll post the video in just a couple. of moments once I get it uploaded. Perfect. Well, I hope that the rest of your evening is filled with joy, or the rest of your day, whatever you end up doing this video. And may you always be blessed. Thank you so much. Namaste.